leave non-performers behind. Average is an instrument or is a measurement, how class is measured. This one is brilliant, this one is excellent, this one is rich, and this one is not. You are being used, it's like you are being used to define two ends. You are being used to define two kinds of people. You are being used to define two classes. So you are actually being used and not being useful to yourself. Average is normal or the norm. It is the minimum requirement. It's the minimum standard that you get. The minimum standard. When they say minimum standard, it's like concentration, because you cannot have a class full of intelligent people. So you must have other people that are not as intelligent as them, so that you can spur them to do more, so that you can push them to do more. The reason why they don't let only the brilliant people stay in one class is that somebody needs to push them. They need to know they are doing better than someone. You cannot be the minimum requirement. You cannot have the minimum requirements for success. You cannot have the minimum requirement as a standard for anything, because it's not the will of God for you. Average is not what a Christian should know. It should be the distinction between those that serve him and those that serve him not. A man called A.W. Tozer says, refuse to be average, let your heart soar as high as it will. Being average means what? All I have said is that being average means settling for any kind of life. It's a settle for kind of life. Anything goes. Let us live and let us see how tomorrow is going to be. Let's just manage. We are prayed. Let's see what God is going to do about it. Let's see the will of God concerning that time. You know that the will of God is not a prayer. The will of God is known, is in the Bible. What God has said concerning you. So average is, I don't try now, what can I do? And so you leave it at that. You leave it at that. It will interest you to know that in the New Testament, New King James, Amplified, New Living Bible, the ones I checked, there's nothing like average in it. There is nowhere you will see in the Bible the thing called average. It's not the will of God for us to operate anything called average. So let's look at some key things concerning this average. I think I have like 7 points that I need to talk about concerning average. The first thing that you need to do to overcome this enemy called average is what? To alter your way of thinking. You need to alter your way of thinking. Our thinking pattern is the greatest limiting factor we have and we are ever going to have. Our thinking pattern. And today I want to take time for you to please let this thing digest into your mind, because we have become so religious that to the extent that we are not even exercising our senses. Religion has become an excuse for us to be redundant, for us to be non-successful, for us to coast in laziness, religion, and say God will do it for me. God cannot do what man can do. By the way, the heavens belong to God, but the earth he has given unto man to have dominion. Listen to these points I'm going to say, because it is very important that you understand what it means to change your mindset. Your soul attracts that which it secretly harbors. Listen to me. Your soul, which is you, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The soul, your soul attracts what is secretly harbors, which can be love, fear. Whatever it is that your soul harbors is what it will give to you. So the circumstances that you have in life are the means which through your soul receives the things that you are thinking about. This is another advanced way of looking at the law of attraction. And I'm going to put Bible onto it so you know that some of these laws that you hear have biblical, you can get scriptures to back it up. What you secretly love is what yours will determine the circumstances that happen to you. So you see some people, you say, why is this person always lucky? Why is things falling for him in pleasant places? It's because of his thoughts. So what it means is that we are, as the Lord and Master of our thoughts, we are the makers of ourselves. We are the shaper and the author of our environment. So what it means now is that I can change my environment. I can change the circumstances that of the things that are occurring in my life. That near success syndrome, I can change. That hardship, I can change. You know why? Because you already have the power to change your mind. You have the power. See, what I think is in Matthew says that, how did this scripture say go? It says, a good fruit cannot produce, paraphrasing now, a bad fruit. That a good tree can only produce a good fruit. A bad tree will continue to produce a bad product or bad fruit. So what it means is that a positive mind will always attract positive things. A negative mind will always attract negative things. If you are in the habit of throwing pity party for yourself and say that's how it is, nobody wants to help. You see young men, what they will tell you is that nobody wants to help us. By the time you cage yourself with, I have an uncle that doesn't want to help me, I have a senior brother that doesn't want to help me, you continue to throw that pity party around yourself. What happens is that all those negative things will continue to happen to you. Your brother that wants to help you, because you have created an environment for yourself, even if he wants to help you, by the time you get there, he might change his mind. He might be busy. He might want things because you create your own atmosphere. We do not attract what we want. Listen to me. We do not attract what we want, but who we are. You are attracting some certain kind of friends and you are wondering, why am I attracting this kind of? It's because that's who you are. So if you want to attract the right kind of friends, change yourself, change your thinking. Change your thinking. Show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are. Who are the people that you are hanging out with on a regular basis? Profile them and you see yourself. Birds of the same feather, the same one. They flock together. Who you are, you cannot lie to yourself. You know, some people say, look, I'm a very nice person. In their mind, they deceive themselves to think that they are very nice. But we all know them to be very horrible. We know them that thing they are saying is not true. But listen, this is what God has done. The divinity, listen to me this one, the divinity that shapes our end, the divinity that shapes our environment, that shapes us, our thoughts, and by extension, our environment is already within us. God has given us the stamp of divinity to alter our humanity anytime we will feel like. How do I know that? Genesis 1:26. And God said, let us make man in our own image and according to our own likeness. What? Why? To have dominion over the air, the land, and the sea. So you see that man has power to have dominion over the air, the land, and the sea that he talks about there. Man has power to alter. Men sat down and said, God gave us dominion over the air, that we need to fly. It was a man's thought. The right word to say, we can fly faster than these birds. To see that you have dominion. Today, we have planes that move at this. Those birds that they wanted to fly more than, today we are doing better than birds. God created us on earth, but now we fly more than the birds. We cover more flight time than the birds that are migrating from one end of the world to the other. God gave us that dominion for us to be able to change our thoughts. As you think it, it comes to pass. Somebody says that we need to have boats. We need to have speed boats. We need to have ship that can that can move faster than anything that is in the water. And we are able to have submarines that go under. That is dominion that God has given to us. That is dominion and the power that to change and alter our environment forever. The other one is land. Someone looked at and said, look, we cannot be trekking. God has made us God of all. He's put us in control over the universe. And today we are enjoying vehicles. Before, from here to town is journey. It's like 4 days journey. You walk small, you rest. You walk small, you rest before you get to this place. It's because men taught those things. And as soon as you have taught those things, as soon as you can think those things, what happens is that you bring it to pass. Anything the mind can conjure, can put together, man, the hand can bring to pass through the help of God. Have you not wondered that the nation, this is a law. This is a law that God has put. Have you not wondered nations that say we are atheists, we don't believe in God, are still prospering than the whole of Africa, that we are shouting and praising God every day? Is it not a thing of amusement that everybody, that Africa is still waiting for God to come down and rearrange the world for them, when He has given us the creative ability? God said in Genesis 1:28, He said, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful. Be fruitful. He has blessed them. He has put the seal of blessing, His mark upon man, and said, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion again over the air, the land, and the sea. Because we need to hear these things in Africa and Nigeria so that we can transform and change our minds. There is nothing that is doing you. It's not slavery, it's not colonialism that is worrying us. It's the inability for us here to sit down and say we want to make a change. It's for us to sit down and say this is what we want to build. But when you see the average Nigerian, black man and Christian, all they are thinking is how to make it for themselves. All they are thinking is about them, their stomach, their car, travel abroad, train children, build houses. That is all. The difference between us and the Western world is that we are selfish in our thinking, while that they are selfless in their thinking about changing their environment. See, in Africa, when somebody, the road is bad in your street, instead of calling people and say, how do we repair this road? We go for the temporary measure that suits only us, and we will buy a jeep, and to hell with the poor people on our streets. But People in the Western world will not do that. They will find out how can we do this and stop it. If there is erosion that is giving them problem, whatever is wrong with the road, they're going to sit down and say, how can we solve this problem? That's the difference between us and them. The cities becoming congested. We don't have land again to build. They will sit down and say, let us build upstairs. Let us build skyscraper. But if it is us, we will build that skyscraper alone. And any other person that tries to build skyscraper will bring that person down. Yes. Who is your father in this town that you want to build the kind of house I build? I have an uncle that somebody came to serve him. The boy told him, because he's a lawyer, he prides himself, he's one of the first lawyers in the area which I come from. The guy said, Uncle, I want to study law. He left his house that day. He left his house that day. That is how we are. Today, the guy is a lawyer, doing very well. Two of them are called to the bar together. Two of them are lawyers together, and you can't change it. Amen. That is the difference, because if you have raised that one boy, if you have raised him, and the other boy raises another, before you know it, that they will see an example, something to follow. That if I have that inclination, that thing inside of me to be a lawyer, I can go to these people and they will be able to help me. Yeah. Even if you're not giving money, you can just sit down and give them direction, how to read their jam, how to position themselves, and it can just be the only help you have offered. But you will raise men. But we don't do that. This is the time. The princes that are coming, that have been shouting, are princes that raise one another. They are princes that think about big things. The Lord said, tell me, come and reason with me. What is it that you want? See, you are looking for 100,000. God will answer you fast if you are looking for a solution to the end of one disease in Nigeria. He will answer you faster than he will give you 100,000. You know why? God gets no glory from 100,000. God will get no glory from 100,000. Because they are billionaires. People have trillions. But God gets glory that one of his sons is bringing out something that is saving lives. So it doesn't matter who has that thought, because that thought will help mankind. Whether the person is an atheist, God will give him the grace to do it. And that is why we are still where we are, because we agree that we are average. That these mighty people, they are bigger than us. That these politicians, as few as they are bigger than us. Do you know the number of white men that came to do this slave trade? Do you know that it's not more than, how will I say, 5 of them, 6 of them that will come and be drinking with the king, and the king and his boys are the ones that gather the slaves and give to them and escort them to the... They're not more than, apart from that first time they came, did all those drama and shoot here, that was all. It was negotiation that we used. How can 1 million people bow down to 6 people? Because we have not seen. The same method the Western world has used, they tried it in other countries. They tried it in China. China developed their own. Say no, if you follow these people, we become enslaved. They respond in China, Japan, all these people did not change their language. You can, in the US, you have Chinese people that are 4 generations, 5 generations in US, but they can speak their language. Our children here don't even want to speak our language in public. Listen, as a man thinketh, so is he. What you think is what you become. Don't fool yourself. What is it that you think in the night? It takes some form of exercise. You can't change it one day. But anything that you do for 21 days consistently becomes a habit. Some even say 14 days. Becomes a habit that you can by yourself weed off all those negative thoughts and now be pumping yourself with these thoughts that you are innovative, you are creative, you have a problem, and because God has called us to be solution providers, that you want to provide this solution. So what you do now is that you are asking, you see, when you think like this, your prayer point has even changed. You can't be talking die by fire. When you are discussing with God, give me solution to change this. God will give you that solution faster than He will give you that money you are asking for. The divinity, the power, that prayer you are praying, God is looking at you. You already have the power. I have given you that power to achieve all that you want. I have blessed you. So I come back to your mind and I'll give you 3 stories. How this thing works. How people determine the circumstances that happen in their life. One was a wretched poor man, started walking. He was aware of his condition and his surroundings, decided to walk. And after doing night vigil, this is addition now, I believe praying, doing night vigil, everything, God gives him a job. But now, he gets, and his true self begins to come out. How did he begin to manifest himself? He begins to try to deceive his employers. He begins to try, he will not put in enough hours. He begins to lie, begins to do all manner of things. And saying what? The work where they do yourself, is it, can you compare with the salary that they give me? So now he has excuses not to work. So he has 50,000. From his discussion, this was what I was able to deduce, that he was expecting that he should be earning that much. So I now asked him, on what grounds are you going to earn 50,000? On what grounds? Is it that you're a graduate? Do you know how much they pay graduates? Do you know how much the starting point, even this bank that you see, do you know how much they pay them there? That you are asking for this. You know, when somebody stays around, when you stay, I always have that problem. People stay around me for a while because I am into grooming and building people, because it's my call. After a while, people begin to feel that they can be me without training themselves. You can be me and better, but you are not training yourself because you see me do the things that I do. You think it's my part, but you don't know what I do to do how I do what I do and where I get the power to do those things. He just felt that that because it's around me, he should earn that money. After all, I'm talking about improving oneself, but he was not ready to put in the work. And I laughed. And I knew that this person was not going to last, because when plumber comes to work, when the plumber is going, he will accost the plumber will drop something. Generator person come to fix, he will be there. You know, if not, he will not open gate for you. Or you know, everybody that is coming is extorting from them, because now he feels that this thing that I'm feeling, but you don't understand, it's not the job that you are doing is a job of 15,000 naira. That you are being paid 30,000 naira, but you feel you should get 60,000 naira just because of. That is the mentality some of us have. And guess in this story, what happens is that the guy moved again from being wretched to at least having a source of livelihood to going back to being wretched. And the state he was now was worse than the state he was before. You know, it's better that you never tasted it than you tasted it. How many poor people commit suicide? How many? Poor man cannot commit because he's hoping that tomorrow is his day. But a rich man will commit suicide because it's difficult for you to go back to what you used to be. So this man, by his own thinking that he's smart. You know, sometimes we feel that we are smart, but God has said, what you sow is what you reap. We cannot mock God. What you sow is what you reap. And when you are working for somebody or doing something with your client, it's just a matter of time. Who you are will show. What you are will show. So by the time you lose your job and go back, who has orchestrated those circumstances? God or him?
Yes,
just because of his wrong thinking. Okay. The second one, let's talk about an employer. Employer was a crooked man. He will employ you, and he will employ you for 3-6 months. Then you tell you, I'll pay you in bulk. Then in between, he has used you. He will now set you up that you stole something and call police and blah blah blah. At the end of the day, they will chase you out of that place without paying you. What he was doing, because he had a crooked mind. What he was doing was that he had a crooked mind. And so in order to increase profits, because he had his mind what to do, he was not waiting to grow his business and so that the profit will be coming in phases. No, he wanted to use the labor that he had and make sure that he does not pay people. This man, within 2-3 years, became bankrupt. This man became poor. Within 2-3 years, became poor. Because as he was setting up those things, he had a lawyer manager that was watching what he was doing. Watching and doing. And this lawyer manager with the wife were planning. By the time he realized this man has run away with his money and with his wife, it became. See, you determine your circumstances. So tonight, if I'm not going to go further than this point 1, begin to exercise your mind. Begin to exercise. Oh, let me talk on this exercising. Hebrews chapter 5, I think. Because some of us, we get discouraged when God doesn't answer us, or when we don't receive, we think that the word of God is not working. That's not true. Hebrews 5, let me look for it. Okay, let me start from verse 12. Just listen if you don't have a Bible. Spiritual immaturity. It says, for though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God. And you have come to need milk and not solid food. For everyone who partakes only in milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But solid food belongs to those who are full of age. That is, those who by reason of use, listen, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Did you hear that? Some of us expecting something. Expecting billions and millions without preparation, without faith for it, is being childish. That's what Paul is saying. But solid food belongs to those that are full of age, those by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern either good or bad. So if you do not have your senses exercised, you are thinking bad things, and those bad things are shaping your life and pumping you with circumstances that keep you down. Those things that you are thinking and calling and saying, you are saying those things about Nigeria, saying those things about how can this, in this man's economy, what good can come out of it. When you keep saying those things, what is happening is that the environment, the circumstances, you are generating that circumstances that will come after you. The third and the final example is there's a rich woman who is a victim of a very painful and persistent disease as a result of gluttony. She pays doctors, willing to pay any amount, but she's not willing to sacrifice and change that bad habit of eating everything, the one that is good for her or not. You can't be 40 and above and you don't reduce your sugar intake. Can't be 45, 50 and you're still eating ice cream and drinking 7 bottles of Coke in a day. I say, I'm not fit. Then you go to hospital and say, doctor, give me. Then you are diabetic, say, God, doctor, give me medicine. So I don't want any restriction. They say in the presence of God there is liberty. So I can eat whatever I want. And that's foolishness. That is foolishness. So every day she's living in pain, but is not willing to address. So the circumstances that led to where she is, who did it? Was it God or her? So change your circumstances and you will change your life. Number 2, you need to know that we were not created to execute an average assignment. Every man is built for a purpose. Or not built. Every man was created. Man or woman was created for a purpose. And when that purpose is not known, as Miles Monroe said, abuse is inevitable. So when you do not know your purpose, it means when you do not know your purpose, it means that anything you can, that's when you agree that you are average. Say, let me see now, let me see how it's going to work. But let me show you some scriptures that will let you know that God has, Jesus even said, greater works are we to do than him. So how can you now, you are ready for greater works? God, Jesus said, go and do greater works for me. And now at the same time, it does not empower you. Greater works than what Jesus has done cannot be average. 1 Peter 2:9 says we are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. Other verses say a special people, that we should show forth the praise of him who has called us out of darkness into light, into his marvelous light. Everything that we do must show forth the excellence of God, the same that he has put inside of us. Greater works are we going to do. In Matthew 26, he said, all power has been given unto me. And he now gave us the great commission. Go ye and disciple nations. All power, all authority has been given to me. And he has now delegated that authority to the church. And indirectly to us, for us to be able to change our world. So whatever assignment he gives to you, God has called you to be an entrepreneur, to help your family, to bring them out of poverty, but you are saying, well, maybe that's my lot in life. We say a lot of things and we keep ourselves bound because we don't know that God has given us all that pertains to life and godliness. But he says he will reveal it to us through the Spirit. Jeremiah 1:5. It says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I separated you and set you apart. Before you were born, I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. So where you are and your capability is well known unto God. So God did not only choose you, but He equipped you for the work that He has for you. So it means that the purpose, whatever you have, whatever is in you, you already have what it takes to make that thing successful. You already have what it takes to become a successful business person, entrepreneur, professional, whatever it is you have, and whatever it is you want to be. You already have what it takes. So don't let the circumstances or what you are feeling right now make you feel as if you are not capable. You have all that it takes. You have all that it takes to move away from that average to become what he said. Before you entered your mother's womb, I knew you, and I have set you apart. I have strengthened you to become that thing. So you're not becoming is as a result of your wrong thinking. Number 3, get into God's program. Get into His program. Get into His program. He is the author and the finisher of our faith. In Christ, you know exactly what you were made for, what you were built for, because He's the author and finisher of your faith. Matthew 16 from 13 to 19, you will see a story of Jesus, because you can never, as you cannot know the effectiveness of a product without reading the manual, you will not be able to understand your own effectiveness and purpose if you don't go back to the manual about your creation. So Jesus came because Jesus was going somewhere. Anytime Jesus asks someone a question, he's going somewhere. He said, who do men say that I am? And this one talk like this one talk and say this. But Peter now said that you are the Son of God, the Messiah. And he said, flesh and blood did not reveal it to you, but the Father in heaven. But it did not end there. What it says now is not saying you are the rock. His purpose has started coming. His purpose for being created has started coming. You are the rock. On you I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not be able to prevail. This is the same reason why he said, I have prayed for you, because the enemy wants to take you out. So the issue and the hell that you are catching now is because the enemy wants to take you out. And Jesus has already prayed for you. He's our high priest, our intercessor, seated at the right hand of the Father. But knowing purpose is not enough. Knowing purpose is not enough. You have to be empowered. And after that verse, it says, now I have given you the keys of heaven. You can bind and you can loose. But the scripture that the translation that I love most is what? Anything you permit on earth is permitted. Anything you do not permit is not permitted. So what does it mean again? Your divinity, the divinity that can change your humanity, is already inside of you. Yes. So what are you looking for again? It is inside of you. So purpose and the plan of God is to align yourself with Him, and step by step, as you draw closer to Him, you are getting more understanding of who you are, until you get to the point that you the empowerment, you will realize exactly how He wants you to do what you want to do. But some people might say that I am afraid. Some of us have tried things and those things have failed before. Some of us say, yes, I know my purpose, but it's as if God watched me fail. And they can genuinely tell you and say, this is what I did, I tried it, but it didn't work. But the Lord asked me to give you a scripture tonight, Isaiah 43, verse 1 and 2. Read it if you have time. It says that, fear not, for I have redeemed you. Redeem is to purchase. I have purchased you from the kingdom of darkness, and I have brought you to the kingdom of light. But it takes time for you to be aware of your surrounding and your environment. If you remove somebody from prison, from slavery, you have to rehabilitate that person, because his mindset is not the same thing. So he has redeemed us at conversion from darkness into his light. But it takes time. His word, renewal of his word, it takes time before we will fully appreciate that light. We will fully appreciate that light. It says, I have called thee by thy name, so he knows you. And he says, you are mine. Thou art mine. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you go through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. Or when you go through the flame, it will not kindle upon you. This is what he said. So the Lord is with you each step of the way. All he's trying to do is to change your thinking. The reason why the Israelites were in the wilderness is to change their mind to do what? To begin to believe in God. When he said, tell Moses, tell Pharaoh to let my people go so that they will go and worship me, it means that so that they will go and realign themselves with me, to trust in me, so that I can take them to the place that I prepared for them. So we must, at each step, even if you have had series of issues, the Lord is saying, go again. But now go with him. Proverbs 3, 5 and 6 says, put your trust in me in all things. In all things. Acknowledge me in all things. Lean not on your own understanding, and I will direct your path. The steps of the good man, the righteous man, they are ordered by God. God is saying, this time around, go with me and I will. Also in Ephesians 2:10, it says, for we are God's what? Handiwork. We are the workmanship of God. Another translation says, we are God's masterpiece. What is a masterpiece? Is masterpiece average? No. So if you cannot be average, it's not the will of God. Number 4, break away from mediocrity, especially mediocrity of the past. Mediocrity. Break away from mediocrity. Break away from anything that makes you substandard. Mediocrity, for my own translation, is just substandard. Just barely there. Fake. And I want to ask you some questions. Perhaps you need to write it down and ask yourself and be true to yourself. Remember, you are who you are, not what you want. So for you to be able to discover who you are, then you already started your journey of recovery. Are we doing the best we can with what we've got where we are? Are you doing the best that you can with what you have got where you are? Without what it means, are you doing the best that you can without excuses? Some of us are not even putting up to 20%, but we are abandoning because we feel that because we pray to God, everything will open up and we shouldn't be struggling in this way. Number 2 question, will God deign we are doing the best we can where we are with what we have got. That's the important thing. Because when he comes, God is an investor. He gave 3 people talents. One went to hide that talent under the ground, buried it under the ground, and when God came to look for his investment, what happened was that when he asked, the man said he buried it. But the others worked it. With what you have, it's not much, but what have you been able to reproduce with what you have? What have you been able to reproduce with what you have? There was, I think I was in secondary school. I went to, there's a place called Ladipo in Lagos where they sell like our own, where they sell spare parts. And I was talking with one guy. He was like the importer. He was like, you know, and he said something to me. And I asked him, I said, look, why is it that, you know, my own immature way of thinking, I asked him, why are you still in this type of small shop? Why don't you get a big, see this man has a big, see when we come so that we have where to sit. And he told me it's not in the shop, that some certain things, he has to do some certain things before he can, you know, the way he explained it, he has to complete some certain things. So he started by saying, before I can change this my car, he showed me his 404. He said, I have money to buy Benz, but I have to be able to walk 5 cars, 5 of these Benz I want to buy. I must walk 5 before I buy 1 for myself. I must be able to do certain level before I can do this, before I can achieve this, and what he's trying to say is that he's working within the means of what he has. So for the average Igbo man, for him to make progress, that progress has to be sponsored by what he's doing. You cannot just go and begin to build house when you are you have not been able to raise the fund to build houses. Back in the days, I don't know whether they still do it. I cannot live in my own house. For the Igbos, they cannot live in their own house if they don't have houses they are collecting rent from. Because it doesn't make any commercial sense. It doesn't make sense. How will I go and build 20 room building in my village? It doesn't make sense. Some people build it, and how many times do you go to the village? So is it not better you build hotel, 20-room hotel, and build 1 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom in your village because you're not going there? What am I saying? Are you doing the best that you can with what God has given you? Are you trying? Because God rewards faithfulness. When God came to ask for those talents, he said, come into your rest, thou good and faithful servant. All I have said is to get to this point. Will God call you a faithful servant with the one that he has given to you? God gave you a job. How are you? God gave you a job. How are you treating the job God gave to you? How are you treating the job God gave to you? If you are not faithful in another man's, who will give you true riches? Luke 16. What have you done with what I have given you? God rewards faithfulness. Have you been faithful to the one that he has given to you? Is it obvious to you and God that the next level has come? This is the question you need to ask yourself. Number 3 question. Are there things in your life from which you need to make a clean break because they are holding us back in our average existence? What are the things that are holding you back? Is it friends? Is it fear? Is it because you don't have a university degree? What can be? It can be one simple thing that holds people down. What is it? Hebrews 12, 1 and 2 says, lay aside every weight and every sin which so easily ensnares us. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross and shame, for the seat at the right hand of God. What are the things that are stopping you from God to come and say? You know, some of us, we think that God is too far. We think that God, how did you serve your master? How did you serve your boss? How do you serve your clients? These are some of the things that God is looking for, not because you prayed. This is the building of character, that God will say, yes, this one can handle more. Don't you see that the people that have money keep having more? Don't you see that the wealthy keep becoming wealthier and the poor keeps getting poor? Keeps getting poorer. Why? It's because the faithful are working and they are putting their heart in making sure that they are doing this thing well to the best of their ability without supervision. What makes you successful is that God does not supervise as your boss will supervise, but He's watching every single move. He knows what is in your heart. Some of us start businesses, and after a while they start businesses, we start losing clients and customers because of how we treat them. You know, we make a mistake in feeling that people cannot hear. Do you know your thoughts are loud? The thoughts that you think are very loud. Somebody can hear those thoughts. How do we hear those thoughts? Someone is by you and they begin to perceive something. We can hear thoughts by the power of this of discernment. You can look at someone and somewhere something is dropping in your mind concerning that person. True or false? It is thoughts that is radiating, is resonating, and you are picking the vibes of his thoughts. Somebody that doesn't like you, you will know. Because he's not saying it, but you can know. So thoughts are loud. Don't think. And some of us are losing. You can be surprised how many people are saying, and they sacked me and I did not know why. How many people have lost their job or lost a customer and they don't know why? I say, but I was nice to him. You were only paying lip service. And when they have assessed you over the months, over the weeks, they say, let's let this one go. The people that they choose for the first set of downsizing are the people that the records will show, because as a man thinketh, so is he. If you're not faithful in whatever, it will show. In your action, in your words, it will show. A man came to me and said his wife is always his wife doesn't trust him. His wife says he's not faithful. I asked him 3 questions. By the time he answered the second one, he was quiet. Even he himself knew that he was very, very unfaithful. You know why? You know, actions. I asked her, do you do this? Do you do this? He just froze. He said, oh, it's because your mind is not there now. Your mind is not there. Somebody, he will contribute money for drinks when Man U wins. But because that is his focus, he's not seeing that the children don't have food, they don't have what to put in their snack bag to go to school. But he expects that he gave 10,000 naira 4 months ago. But he cannot recollect that it was 4 months. He feels that, and the things that matter don't matter to him because where his heart is very far. Because you are what you think, what you love. He loves hanging out. He said, look, I like to hang out with men. That way, nothing, we're not doing anything, let's just be gisting. They say, why did you marry? Why now? You should have just married the beer parlor woman now, so 2 of you resume work from morning till night. You know, from the abundance of it, he was speaking, and by the time he will speak, he will see the folly in what he was saying. I hope he changes. But he actually saw, he felt, I saw that remorse in him. He actually saw who you are is not what you are saying that you are. And do you know that you do not know who you are until you be silent and ask yourself, who am I? What do I really love? What do I really love? A guy for past 10 years, he says he's been looking for job. He's been looking for job. So I now, you know, and I say, why have you been looking for job? He say he has tried. Say after all, all the jobs that they have is marketing job. I don't even like that marketing job. You have heard his heart. As far as that boy is concerned, he's genuinely with his own heart looking for job. But it's not what he says that matters. It's what he loves, the secret things. He's afraid of marketing. He's afraid of certain things. And that fear is bringing out circumstances why he is not going to be employed. Because those circumstances, when the marketing manager asks you one or two questions, you say, this one is not a material. But God has positioned it that you are a marketer. In heaven, you are a seasoned and excellent marketer. But on earth, the devil has sold a lie to you that you don't like marketing. You see why you are stuck? That's why people get stuck. What are those things? What are those things that keep you down? By the time you take...